mind if you want to call one of them A and the other one B, or vice versa. As long as when you do your little flags, remember with Ingrid you had to do little flags to indicate where the cross sections were. When you do your little flags, you get them the right way around. You don't put AA and then you suddenly have AA the other direction. So in terms of direction, though, it's quite important. One of them will be through the middle this way and looking back that way, upwards. That's easy for most of us to figure out because we're all looking up at the screen. So it's pretty easy to do. Looking this way, however, provides either you crimp your neck or you try and work out a way how it's all going to work. You might like to rotate, copy this somewhere and rotate it all, so that way you're still looking up. It does make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to draw this one, going this way, looking up. You'll have to draw the one going that way yourself, and I want you to be looking up at the manhole. So I don't want anyone doing it looking down at the outlet. Alright, so the outlet's behind us, so we ain't going to see that. But you might be able to see the outlet on the first one, but I'll explain that there's a chance we won't be able to get that into our viewport. Or if we did, we're only going to get this bit in, which is not good enough. So that's what we're going to do. It shouldn't take much more than 3/4 of an hour for me to demonstrate it. As I'm demonstrating it, there might be an opportunity for a half mark, there might not, just depends. But definitely, as I'm demonstrating it, I'll point out things that are very important and the differences between the sections and the long section. I did that this morning in the lab, in the lecture. But there'll be a few things we'll come across that you might go, oh, I didn't realise that. You've also got to watch your settings, because you know how we changed it to the scale factor of 1/2 when we did our vertical, so that way we could read the true reading for the dimensions. Well, this time around when we're doing the cross sections, it's back to 1:1 in both directions. So the probably easiest way, if you're going to put dimensions on your drawing, is to right click on it and change the properties of that particular dimension rather than globally do it, because obviously you're doing a proposed plan as part of this. It'll stuff everything up on the proposed plan, or vice versa. The other thing that's a bit goofy and a bit weird is when you're looking up at the manhole, that's quite steep, that bit, because the contours are close together. So you're going to have, looking this way, you're going to have the platform, and there's not going to be a lot of difference between the platform and the land. And then you're going to be looking up, way up there at the manhole, so that's going to be a bit odd. So you have to figure out what that's going to kind of look like. Also, looking this way, we're going to cut through the pipe. So you're going to have to show the pipe where it cuts through will be a solid line, where it goes off up the hill, that'll be a dashed line, where it's behind you, you don't show it. Okay, same rules, I didn't change my rules all the way along. Looking from here, and the one I'm going to draw, the pipeline will become dashed. You don't actually cut through it anywhere, so it'll be dashed and there'll be no centre line. Okay. Okay, well, I've got the CAD drawing there. I think I'll draw in perhaps a yellow, might be not a bad colour to show. If you're having trouble seeing the screen for some reason, just yell out and I'll change either the colours or I'll turn those lights off. Perhaps I can do something with the lights at the back. Let's have a go. Alright. Is that a little bit better? chance of turning the back on? We'll try on the back. No, that's just turning it on. It's just turning those on. I think you can all probably see enough to write some notes, or if you're filming it, hopefully you get a reasonably good picture of it. All right. 2025, semester 1, cross sections demonstration. Take 1. All right. So we are going to do a line that is going to be roughly from the midpoint of here across to the midpoint of this line here. Also, we're going to do it, now I'm giving you this information, so I'm doing an Ingrid this time. You're getting some information off me, you don't have to work it out yourself. I know from practice and from rolling this assignment over about 4 years ago that you need to offset about 10 metres. So I'm going to offset that purple line 10. And that is probably about as far as I'm going to be able to get in my viewport, all right? So I've got that as a sort of a marker. I'll take this across and draw it perpendicular into there, or to the midpoint, and I'll take this one across to the midpoint over here. And that's about as far as our section is needed to go. So I'm now going to do lines from these points. That'll be 41.2. I'll put ortho on 41.2, and a line from here 41.4, and so on. If you want to, you can draw along with me if you want to, because I'll take a little while to draw these up. That's 41.8, and that of course is 42. Forty-two point two, 42.4. It helps that I've already pre-written these numbers down here. Forty-three. 43.2, 43.6, 43.7. Notice I'm not doubling, I'm doing just the actual yeah, that was 43.8. Now we're going to do 44, 44.2, 44.4, 44.6, 44.8, and 45. 45.2. Oh, I think I got the last two wrong. Okay, I've cheated a little bit at the end there. I'm just doing the lines coming up from, I've missed a few out there. This one here is going to be 47.4. You can see it's getting steeper as we go up the hill. Now I'm going to join these together. But we've got a wee bit of an issue in that we don't really want much of that, of the contours in behind. Last time we were way up away from everything. This time we're going to have to delete them. Alright, we've got a wrong one over here. We'll just pretend that it goes through there. Okay, well that gives us a bit of a ground line to go by. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll set to another colour and we'll do the platform. So with the platform we have to do a line where the platform crosses, come back down to here and then go up whatever the platform actually was. Can anyone? 44.4, yes. So I've gone up there, I'm going to go along and I'll bring the other side up to match it. So a line from here up. And if on my one, I haven't got a lot of cut. There it is there. And the batter slopes are easy. We just go along one, up one, and back down again. And you'll notice that it even crosses here. So there's no tricks involved with the batter slopes. What they are is what they are. And of course this is 2 to 1. So you go along 2 and you go down 1. And you extend that line until it hits the ground line. So the platform's on there. So the next step is going to be the tree. And we're going to do the tree in green so that you can tell that it's the tree. Now the tree centre is here. We're going to have to go down to the strike line. And the estimate for the tree is between 41 and 41.2. It's probably about 40, and yeah, it'll be 41.18. So we'll go up 41.18. And that gives us a line for the tree centre line and the insertion point, which will be, I'll make a little circle there just to remind me. So the tree is actually going to go there somewhere. We've missed a couple more points out here. I'm just going to put a line down here just to extend the ground line a little bit more. We may not get it in the viewport, but hey, at least we've tried. Not quite sure why that's not extending, but we'll extend it a bit more. And now extend it more. Yeah. Okay, so our tree is going to be a little bit interesting putting that on. So we need to draw up the tree that we drew last week for the long section. Now by memory that tree was the same width as this. So let's take a line up the top there. Now you already have your tree for your long section on here from last week, and it should have been drawn a little bit like an ice cream. If I offset this 12, that's 2 times 6. Your tree's going to look something like, hopefully you haven't done a rude tree and you've done a normal one. So the way I did it was I did a line from the midpoint here up and another line just to the side. Sorry, I just copied that line to the side. And then I mirrored that on the other side. And then I did a P line, if you remember, something like this. And then I nearly lost my job because I insinuated that this here could actually be something else. And I'm not going to do the same trick again. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to make a line like that. Okay, so that's the tree we grew last week. We drew, not grew. We didn't grow a tree. Now, we're doing a cross section. So what I need to do is make that tree basically into a block and then bring it into the drawing again, but with the Y factor a half. So if there's 2 ways to make blocks in Autocad. The first way is called a W block, W-B-L-O-C-K. Now if you do a W block, you're making a drawing somewhere in another folder. Desktop, documents, whatever, right? Nothing wrong with that. You can then bring that drawing back in. We did that with the title block. Remember, you saved it from Moodle and then you brought it into your drawing. Basically, when you saved it from Moodle, you're making a W block, which is another drawing. But we want to make the block inside the drawing, which means that we want to have it there in case we want to put any other trees on there. And we want to use it as a block because it's a great way to pull it in with a Y factor of half. So to do this, we need to type the word block. So I'm going to type the word block, B-L-O-C-K. And I get a dialog box up which looks sort of something like that. So what it wants is a name, a point to insert the block, and to actually grab every point that you want on the block. So let's call it, no, not tree, let's call it tree 100, just in case there's another tree in the drawing, or a tree 1. 100 should be enough to get away from it. So let's type tree 100. Okay? Now the cool thing about this is if you've borrowed the drawing from someone else who did the assignment 5 years ago, there will be a tree 100 in there because they would have actually done a tree 100. And when you bring your tree 100 in, it'll be completely different. So thanks to that person that lent you the file, you'll end up inserting the wrong tree. Good ploy on my behalf. But if you're clever, and because I've just told you, you'd call it tree 99. And you'd get away from that. But I know none of you will have that file from 5 years ago, so let's go tree 100. Let's pick a point to insert it. So I'm going to click this button here. See this blue button, this button here? I'm clicking that button. I'm going to click that point right there for the insertion point. And I'm going to select the objects, which will be that one, all of that, 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 and that. Now when I go enter, it gives me a little picture up here of the tree. And we're ready to go, so I just go OK. Now, a bit like my wedding night, nothing happened. No, that's not true. We've actually made a block in the drawing, okay? Anyone who laughed then, that's half a mark off for your assignment. And I'm not even going to elaborate on that. I'm going to now go to, I know, the block palette. So I'm going to go insert, and I'm going to go block palette. And I'm going to bring it over because it's gone onto the wrong screen. So let's bring it over so everybody can see it. Won't be a minute. Here it is. So when you go insert block palette, remember when we went to insert the title block, we got the same one? So the title block will actually be in there if you put the title block in your drawing. What else is in there? Well, if we go to library, no, we go to recent. No, we go to current drawing. There we are. I knew I could get there eventually. Current drawing. Look at that. Somebody's left a tree in here which you could have used in your drawing. Look how cool that tree is. I'll bring it in. Oh, isn't that beautiful? You could have actually used that and I wouldn't have mattered. Anyway, you didn't realise that was in your drawing, did you? But let's have a look at what we're interested in today, which is this tree 100. Now, I'm about to bring it in, so I highlight it. But when I come down here, there's an X, a Y, and a Z. My friend that was having trouble with Z's this morning, please don't put a number in there. Right? Yeah. Don't put a Z value in there, or your tree will go way up in the air. Go to the Y and go 0.5. Okay? And now go up the top and bring it in. And there we are. So I'm not going to make any fun about fat people doing Pilates, okay? That is just a squashed up tree. But you'll notice that it's still just as wide. Whereas this morning on the examples I showed you, they grabbed this and they scaled it by a half, which looks like this, which is very different, right? That's what the student in this morning's one that I showed you the example drawing, that's what they did. They didn't do the proper insert with the shrink. So I don't care what your tree looks like, but I want you to make it into a block and bring it in as part of the learning outcome for that particular one. Now also, remember that you may have on one of your sections 2 trees to draw, because one might be native and one might be existing. So in the elevation view, you may have to make up a second tree. And look, that can be as easy as maybe putting circles on there, like it's an apple tree or something, or you might want to kind of make it look a bit better than that. But whatever you do, make it obvious that it's a different tree, and then obviously you'll have to do it first at the 1-to-1, and then bring it in at the distorted view. So back to our section, let's move this from that point to my little circle that I did. And there it is there. So for half a mark, can anyone see an issue? I'm dying to give away another half mark because I know a lot of you aren't going to get lots of half marks on your drawing. Anyone see an issue? Call a friend. Consult a dictionary. Don't look up AI.
Means it's underlined?
Yes, you're correct. It does. We'll get to that in a second. Just an issue with bringing that tree on. That's it. That's the chance over. On lecture 1, I told you that every tree has a drip line, and that drip line comes down there. Can you see that? Yeah, that green mark. This is the batter slope from the fill, and it's going under the drip line, so that's a no-no. But you can see that for a very small wall, I think it measures about 500 to 600, that's all you're going to need to stop it at this stage. That's your prediction. You haven't got the full picture because this isn't 3D, and remember there's a butterfly wing, not just a straight down. So it might be that it's a bit bigger in some places, but what you would do if you were doing this as a design, you would say to the structural engineer, I don't think you're going to have to do a design for 600 high wall, but can you look at this please, and if not, we'll just call it up as a block wall, just an ordinary 600 high block wall. Normally, if a brickie's doing a block wall, they'll put one, every now and then they'll put a row of reinforcing in there. But if it goes, the rule of thumb is over a metre, and a structural engineer needs to design it. I guess it could fall on a small child or something like that, or a dwarf, whatever, and crush them. So that's your first clue. That's the drawing that you probably start to need that extra note about that. Now, of course, if you look up council files and you're allowed to chop down the 6 metre tree, that's cool. That takes care of, that's a much cheaper way of doing it. Chop the tree down and take it away. You don't need the retaining wall. In plan view, once you've done your butterfly wings, you'll have an idea of where the wall goes, because you have the round tree and you have the butterfly wing coming underneath it. So it may only be a small wall, maybe that is a cheaper way around it, because you have to apply for building consent, consent application to chop the tree down, and that costs money and time and blah blah blah. It might be just as easy just to do a small retaining wall. One student a few years back argued that you wouldn't need the fill going down there, you could retain it right back on the platform, but generally speaking that wouldn't be what we would do. So the problem with this so far is we've got all these contours here which are being a bit of a pain in the butt, right? They're in the road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that to the side and delete the contours. Is there anything else that we might need to put on there? Let's have a look. Somewhere over here you might need to put the path on. Just make the path 50 mils deep. That's about all that's all we do with concrete. There's no need for batter slopes on the side of it. There it is. Yeah, I guess to hit the path we'd have to go quite a bit further on, and I don't think we're going to get there on the long section. I know what we haven't done the pipe. So let's, with the pipe, what we have to do is we have to take it a line from the centre of the pipe down to here, perpendicular to here, and then go up the invert level of the start of the pipe, which is anyone know the invert level at the start of the pipe? Anyone try to beat me? 45.61. So let's do a line from here, 45.61. And now let's do a line, that's where the pipe starts. Let's do a line from here, along 100 and down the percentage, which is, it's 12.28%. And back up to that point. So that gives us the true invert level of the pipe. I'll delete that. And of course we need to offset from that 450.45. So there's our pipe. We are now starting to get a bigger picture of what's going on. I'm going to delete the contours, and a few things are going to come to mind here for you all. Okay, I don't think there's anything else that I need to put on there. So if you have a look down here, this tree is behind me, although there's a little tiny bit here, so we could actually do another tree with just a very thin tree. So we could do another thin tree from here up. It's a bit tricky to draw because you're not going to have, it's not going to start from the ground line. It's just going to be a little bit higher. So if you want your golden mark, you're going to have to redraw that tree as a thin tree up the top here. So to give you an idea, it's going to look a little bit odd. It'll only be sort of something like this. Just that part, okay? And it won't be the same looking tree as the one you got. So that's a bit of a challenge for you. I'm going to copy this over to the side. And I'll tell you another tip on drawing the cross section. So here's your line HAD of 0. I'm going to offset that by 35. No, not twice 35, but 35.
And now the next tip is, instead of 10, I want you to offset 5 from wherever you finish. And I want you to offset 1 going down the page. Think about it, it's a cross section and everything is a different scale. Your text type will be a lot smaller. Now I'm going to trim that. And I'm going to trim that. Lastly, I'll put it in the viewport. So I'll just put this, I'll print this to A1. So ANS, full bleed, ISO full bleed A1, there it is. I'll change the units to 1. I'll go apply the layout and cancel, and I'll stretch this.
I think you did ISO span.
I did what?
ISO span.
So I did the wrong one. File, plot. Oh, ISO expand. True. ISO full bleed. Well picked up. ISO full bleed A1, that one. Apply the layout and cancel. Oh, we're just about there. It just gave me a wee bit more room. Now, somebody was asking me about the title block. Apparently it doesn't quite stretch the full way across, so it's more like that. It doesn't matter. I'm only showing you what fits in the viewport. I'm going to go in here and double click, and we'll go in on what I've drawn. And you're probably thinking, oh, that's probably going to fit. But when I go Z enter 1000 /50 XP, watch. So you're not going to get a lot more than what I've said. In fact, really, we want to see the tree more than we want to see this upper half of nothing, don't we? So we want to see about that. We want to make sure we get everything in the bottom. So that's about as much as we're going to be able to get. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go inside the viewport and I'm going to do a line. You're probably wondering why. I'll tell you in a minute. I'm going to do a line about there. And we'll have a look at where that line went. Okay, that's where the line went here. So that's as far as we can see in the viewport. So what Roger's going to do is he's going to do, I told you if I had time I'd show you that figure 8. Watch this, this is a little tip. I'm going to chop my pipe off at that point.
Roger,
Yeah.
is it not the green one on the left?
Oh, it's even worse, you're right, you did right. Well, good observation. No marks though, but good observation. I like students pointing out things I do wrong. Don't know why. Somehow it makes the recording correct and there's no more questions. Okay, you've probably never used this before. Draw and come down to ellipse and go across to centre. Pick the centre point there, then pick one of the end points. And then bring it into what you think looks about right, which is about that. And then go scale, click on it, click at that point and go 0.5, enter, then go copy that from there to that point, and then go trim, and bang, you've done it. And then trim off this. Oh, didn't quite work, but we'll take it up to there and trim that down there. And there we have it. Now to me, that automatically says that that pipe continues on, but don't forget to put your arrow there like I told you this morning, with an explanation of where it's going to and what the invert level is at that point. Alright? Hopefully you've recorded that, so it should be easy to draw. And make sure you do one at the other end too, because we're chopping him off as well. So when you go back to your viewport, hopefully Liam is right. And it was the green line. Yes, it is. There it is. Thank you. You'll see I'll stop my pipe at that point. Don't have to stop it bang on the edge of what you're seeing, because you won't be doing any more levels past there anyway. Now the cool thing about doing the cross section is, you're probably all thinking, oh, look at all the levels I have to do. Well, you don't. All right. I'll tell you the ones that you need to do. So first of all, using magenta or purple, I'm going to do one from here down, and one from there, and one from there down. So we'll trim them off. But you're not required to do one every 5 meters, which means the only ones you need to do are the purple one, the green one. You'll need to do the ones under the platform. No, you don't. You don't have to do any of those. Any of those. You will need to do that purple one, that purple one, and you won't need to do any of those. Just the one at the end and the one at this end. So technically, that's all you're going to need to do in terms of levels. You won't need to do those. I'll trim this off here somewhere, and I'm going to copy this in cheap, and we'll copy that from that point there down to that point there. Actually, I'll need to mirror it. Okay, so the cross sections started off looking really horrible, but you do need, there was a student here said about the centre line, so you will also need to do from the midpoint on the platform down, and that will need to end up with a line type that is centre. Alright? So you need to put that on a layer separately. I'll make that red. So what have we learnt in summary before I let you loose for the last hour on your assignment or whatever you want to do? We've learnt how to draw the cross section. We've learned how to bring a block in at half the size. We've learned how to do a little squiggle for the pipe. We've learnt that we need to put the centre line down, but we've also learnt we can erase all of those lines going up for the ground line. We don't need that. So really, you just need the information under the platform, the tree, and anything else like the path or a pipe or something that is on there will need to be on there. And you'll need to draw the one in the other direction, which will only have a sliver of fill. And that's it. Does anybody have any general questions on what I've drawn? Looks pretty easy. It's only worth 2 marks per cross section. But it's still 4 marks towards 15 which some will struggle and will need those 4 marks. So I think that's reasonably easy to draw. The other marks are going to be broken down into the proposed plan and a design statement. Any more questions? No questions? Okay. Well, if you want to carry on your own on your assignment, that's fine. You can ask. I'm okay with group discussions on what to do, as long as one person isn't doing the work on someone else's assignment. If you need help, just put your hand up. Lemming will come round and help you. If he can't or he's unsure, he'll always come to me and get clarification, or if it's too serious, I'll come and see what I can do about it. And yes, you can go if you want to go, if you've got something to do whatever you like, but make sure you hit that deadline on Sunday out. Alright? I did tell the students this morning the best room is through here. Turn left as you come in the door. The key to that is CY1743. Great room, L-shaped desks, double monitors, and not many students. Alright, that's me done talking. Have a nice weekend, and please, any questions before 4:30 tomorrow will be answered beforehand. Any questions after 4:30 tomorrow? Yeah. Oh, is that the phone going in the glove box of the boat? Nah. I'll have a look at it later on after Sunday 5 o'clock and give them an answer. How you girls going? Do you need some questions? You normally ask some reasonably intelligent ones. How do you do?
I think we're all good here.
Okay, that's all right. So, if you do end up with, something that's bugging you, and obviously Hemming's not around, send me a screenshot.
Yep.
Just the question and the screenshot, so I understand what you're talking about. And if it's before 4:30 tomorrow, it will give an answer. I normally look on a Friday and I'll try and clear the 4:30s if I can at night. If I've got something on, I'll do it Saturday morning. But there's a cut-off. Alright? Same with tonight. It's nearly 4:30 anyway. Probably won't be till tomorrow morning, but you're still in notes. Okay.
I'll just walk there.
Oh, just
You're gonna hit with me. Oh yeah.
And then 12, my group was made up. And then I think
Use
how
the
much
memory
we're
card
going
and
to
some of these big monitors here.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish it.
finish it. I think I'll go to the tutorial. And then just double
See
check.
what's wrong.
And then, yeah.
So what's the issue here?
And then let me start my butterfly wish. Oh my days. Oh, I need to go pick up some.
Oh, is it?
And then we have freaking.
So originally, now it's not.
Oh, also, if you need a partner for your
Oh
traffic.
my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna. That was,
Oh,
that
I
was
was
so.
you should. I was